Realization of me is a very deep subject. I call it these days, following the quote from the TV show Westworld, the center of the maze. All this teaching, with its changes and turns and even mistakes, all of that conspired to eventually take us to the center of the maze. This reality is a maze. And we have been lost in that maze forever. This lifetime, and possibly many, many other lifetimes. We are, running around that maze like little lab mice, living in perpetual confusion, sometimes finding the way and then losing the way, and really never being certain what is our true destination. And the destination is me. The center of the maze is me. Nothing else but that me is the hardest thing to recognize in the whole world. That me is what they call a self. I call it me because self is a certain objective description or general concept of certain reality related to our own self, while me is what it is as a direct experience. Before we begin, I would like you to let go into your body. Very important to be in your body. Because even though the center of me is in your head, it evolves holistically through the whole body, and unless it is in the body through its emanation, it cannot properly meet itself as that center in the head. It's too claustrophobic there, too present. And what it also means that me, because our body, remember, is in the absolute. So me and our body is the gateway to the Absolute. So me to contain itself, it needs to have connection to the Absolute as well, because Absolute is the space of existence, true existence, which means it is also the space of me. But that space of me as the Absolute cannot be realized unless we enter first the Absolute through the body. There are certain evolutionary laws that cannot be ignored. Now, as you feel yourself being rooted in your body, I want you to be one with your me in consciousness, or as consciousness, or simply in the head. You need to be in two places, because there is for human beings there's a very strong demarcation line between head and the rest of the body. They are separated, they are split. That's why you need to make at least at the beginning, an effort to be in these two places simultaneously. I tend to use the term me in consciousness because it's convenient. Me as consciousness is more accurate. But technically speaking, me is consciousness. When we say me in consciousness, it gives a false message that me is something else than consciousness. But in reality, there is no such thing as consciousness as a reality in itself. You know, it's a common term in spirituality. Such things simply does not exist. There's no such a thing as consciousness. There's only me, and it happens that consciousness is one of its very important attributes. Me is many things, also consciousness. So try to be one with me. All your body is included in me, but the main center, primary center of me is in the head. So this has to be remembered. Me is supposed to expand into your whole body, and the head should be unified with the body, but still, that center, original center of me, where it is experiencing itself as consciousness, your body is experiencing itself as consciousness only through the emanation of me into the body. But in the head it is directly experiencing, your me is experiencing itself directly as consciousness. So being one with your me in your head, You want to experience yourself in the whole headspace, but not going to the front. There's a natural emanation into the front, but you want to embody the space behind the front, because this is the main center, the main sphere of me. It's located there. And one more thing, your me has to rest vertically in your headspace. Because this restfulness not only dissolves the separation between head and the body, but even more so, even more importantly, it opens the space to the Absolute, allowing me to experience its own absolute space. Because the spaciousness of me is the same space as the one of the Absolute. The subject I wanted to address is, what is the connection between the universal dimension of me? I spoke of it in the last retreat. The universal me and the universal consciousness or universal I am that we spoke so much of in the past. As you remember, universal I am is realized through surrender of pure me to the portal at the back of the head, to that space behind the head. That's why that final absorption of me in I am takes place. And I would like to say that universal I am and universal me, they relate to the same reality. However, when we experience universal I am behind the head, universal me is not realized. In fact, our own me, pure me, is our true me. It is the same center, but because of it being relocated, is also not experienced properly. It's experienced as the one who has surrendered, as the one who is absorbed, but not in itself. In order to experience me correctly, we have to go through amygdala, through the central space in the head, so its natural location. Surrender behind the head had some benefits, such as it allowed you to open the space of consciousness. It allowed you to get in touch with me as pure me. It connected you to the universal I am. There are many benefits. But such practice should be done only temporarily, because that what we used to call pure consciousness or universal subjectivity is not a natural state. And me going behind the head separates itself from amygdala, which prevents it from being able to feel and to experience itself or to embody itself as the emotional human center. But there's one more thing here, that we cannot fully leave amygdala, because without amygdala we would be dysfunctional. So there has to be always a sense of me in amygdala. Amygdala is also a center of intelligence, not only emotional center. So what happens when you go behind the head, me becomes split into pure me and that sense of me which is still in amygdala. So the me has to experience itself in two places simultaneously, and it becomes split. So there's certain fragmentation happening here in consciousness as a byproduct of that. To give you certain structure, because it helps in understanding, is that there are two ways to access universal I Am. One is through the portal at the back of the head, and second is directly through me, which is actually a deeper and more pure way of entering the universal I Am. Universal I Am is not the same as universal me. It is a center from which universal me expands into creation. So universal I Am is similar to our innate me in amygdala, while it's like a center, in the center of all of it, while our me experienced fully is experienced in the whole space. So universal I Am is like that innate me, center within the center, or within that vast space of me. So in terms of creation, first there's the primordial I Am, which is the state of singularity prior to creation, in fact. And then there is the spontaneous manifestation into the I Am, universal I Am, which is already in creation, and from that universal me is born, and universal me is the creator, is God. And from universal me come personal me. First, let's move now to a more practical stage of this meeting. First, and truly experience your me. The first thing that you always experience or would experience is personal me. This is how you know yourself to be you. So, who are you? How do you really experience yourself? Or how do you really know yourself? What is that self-knowledge? Initially, me is unconscious, so there's no self-knowledge at all. There's just a very rudimentary sense of me behind our existence. But even if you awaken your me, personal me, there are still levels to the depth how you can experience it. You can experience it superficially, you can experience it somehow mechanically, or you can go very deep into the personal me, so that you can experience your personal me in a purest way, in an awakened way. So even if you awaken me, on the level of your intelligence, you can be still asleep in that me. You have just awakened it energetically, and there is a certain sense of presence in it. But you don't really know yourself. You don't know who you are. You have no clue. So I want you to go deeper into that feeling of me. And as I said, try to experience it as the whole space in your head. What does it mean to be me? What is self-knowledge? Certainly there is self-awareness here, the direct recognition of your existence as consciousness beyond your thoughts. It's one of the ways to define self-knowledge. But you can still know yourself deeper if you go deeper into your me. And that is the beginning of something very, very important. Surrender to me. At this point you are not surrendering yet to the universal me, you are surrendering to the personal me. You means your me is surrendering to itself. And then there are two results or expressions of that surrender. One is energetic change. Somehow you go deeper into that energy state of me. And second, it is existential. And that existential part is more important in terms of the actual awakening. And it also refers to two things. One is you are getting in touch with the pure experience of me in itself, with the mystery of it. Because it is not of this world. You are used to having your sense of me, so you think that, anyone has it, and it is ordinary, and it's nothing special. In fact, it's insignificant and boring. So you do not really appreciate your me, and you do not understand your me. But when you surrender to it, you begin to see its transcendent quality. It's still personal, but it is made from something transcendent, which in fact means that it is made from the universal me, from the light of the universal me. So you are actually getting in touch with the light of the universal me in your personal me through that surrender. The second part of that, getting in touch with existential quality of me, is more on the human and emotional level. That because that me always feels something. Feels sad, feels lost, feels uninspired, and I'm on purpose addressing these more negative feelings, not like a feeling of joy and excitement, because these negative feelings, getting in touch with them, they have a power to deepen you, and those positive feelings actually don't. Nobody gets deepened by feeling cheerful or excited in me. It's lovely, but it is that suffering that can only deepen you. Because that suffering is not just pointing to the misery or just, difficulties of human existence. It's pointing to certain existential crises within personal me that is connected to it being separate, being isolated, being disconnected from the Creator. So by going into that suffering in a constructive way, by feeling it fully, you actually can go deeper. Or feeling lonely. Everybody feels lonely now and then. In fact, most of the time, now and then people have moments of not feeling lonely, but they just distracted too much to identify it. But loneliness is a very important part of human experience. But when you go deeper into this loneliness and fully allow yourself to experience it, you move to a deeper place in your me. And I call it aloneness. Loneliness exists in context of your relationship with others, or the absence of having fulfilling or meaningful or emotionally gratifying exchange with others. So you don't have it, so you feel lonely. You feel lonely because your existence in yourself is actually quite meaningless, quite empty. And that's a fact. It's very important actually to acknowledge it. I am nothing, my existence is meaningless, and everybody feels it, and people are finding all kind of strategies to look for some meaning, to look for some escape from the emptiness. Finding some passion, something you're interested in, connection with other people, hobbies, and whatnot. It all is a search for meaning. And search for meaning is a good thing, but the other side of the search for meaning is escape from fundamental meaninglessness of human existence. Because human existence is absolutely meaningless. And it sounds pretty harsh, but it is true. So when you get in touch with that feeling of being lonely, and you can feel sometimes really, really lonely, to that degrees to it, then you are also getting in touch with that meaninglessness, that emptiness, that futility, that getting in touch with that very simple fact that you are fundamentally nothing. And you need all these other things from the outer world to help you to feel being something or someone. And it's mostly connected to emotional exchange with others. Because this is how people live, through relating to others. Their existence is based on relating to others, because they have zero relationship with themselves. And in the absence of being able to relate to others in a meaningful way, a fulfilling way, they feel immediately lonely, immediately empty, immediately they feel that existential pain in me. And the root of that existential pain in of me is separation. Separation is a painful condition. So in a way, we as humans, doing all the stuff we do, running around, we are constantly running away. We are running around because we are running away from that suffering of separation. Just try to intoxicate ourselves with the outer world so that we can forget ourselves. But let me continue. When you go deeper into this feeling of being lonely, deeper you surrender within your personal me deeper, you come into that space of aloneness. Aloneness is, though it sounds similar like loneliness, it's actually a completely different state of consciousness, because it bears no connection to your relationship with the world. You do not experience aloneness because there's an absence of interactions with the world. You can experience it while having very fulfilling interactions with the world emotionally. In other words, aloneness is not a psychological state. It's a dimension of me experienced in a most pure way. Me just is. Me is alone. And if you go deeper into that aloneness, because first you sort of touch it, and then you lose it, or you touch it, and it's somehow borderline alone and lonely. But if you go deeper into it, you are entering absolute aloneness, or as I call it, cosmic aloneness. And that cosmic aloneness is actually a passage. You can call it a rite of passage from the personal me into the universal me. Universal me is beyond cosmic aloneness, because universal me is everything. It's all there is. So I would like you to do it now. The little time that we have, keep surrendering. Surrender to your personal me, and surrender even deeper. Surrender you see, there are two here ways of the aspects to surrendering. One is interpersonal me, second is as the personal me into the universal me. So first you are surrendering interpersonal me. How can you surrender to the absolute universal me if you don't feel it? You cannot. But you can surrender to the personal me because you feel it. It's who you are. How to surrender? You surrender gently. It's very, very subtle type of surrender. And in the following retreat, we'll have to. I will have to explain it better. But it all starts with you trying and experimenting. You surrender. You disappear in your own me. And then you come to that place of aloneness. That aloneness is actually more a dimension of the personal me than universal me. But personal me has to pass through it. And then you surrender deeper. But the deeper surrender is you as if continue the momentum of the surrender. The deeper surrender actually takes you to the universal me. When I was speaking about surrendering to the universal I am, like behind the head, you are surrendering to something outside of you. But here it is different. You are surrendering into you and through you. So you are the portal to reality. You are the portal to the universal me. You are a portal to the supreme reality of me. Something very personal, and something very, very direct, and something, because it is so near, so immediate, so close to you, that's why initially it can be challenging to capture it, how to do it. So you need to experiment. And as you surrender into the universal I am, there comes the next step is a shift of identity into that universal me. You become it. You have always been it, but now you become it consciously. But how do you know that it is the universal me? What kind of a self-knowledge can be present in that universal me. And here is a thing that's difficult to explain, because it is beyond self-knowledge and beyond knowledge. You know, Osho used to speak, he liked to say that existence is unknown, not only unknown, but it is also unknowable. It cannot be known. You know, the sannyasins were very happy to hear it. In their minds, because it doesn't do much such understanding in terms of spiritual transformation. And he was right. Existence is unknowable. We can know different things in existence, but not existence itself. But here we are I'm not speaking about an abstract existence or nature of life or universe. I'm speaking about self. I'm speaking about me. Me is unknowable. It's beyond knowledge. Because knowledge, no matter how profound, is always limited. That's why realization of universal me is the end of knowledge and the beginning of reality. Reality itself. It reminds me also of Maharaj, Nisargadatta, and I'm not implying at all that he was referring to the same thing as I do now, because even if he was, it's really a long shot. He was saying that there is I am, which is basically me, I suppose. And when one is holding onto that I am as a practice, eventually one is able to transcend it and go beyond it to some kind of a state prior to I am or prior to consciousness. The similarity here is uncanny, though, as I said, it's a long shot. He was referring to the same. Probably not. But here too, you are transcending knowledge, you are transcending me as you know it, and you become me beyond knowing it. It's a play of words. I'm trying to here communicate to you certain very, very subtle nature of this realization. Because you will be trying to identify, am I experiencing the universal me? Maybe you think you are, but you are not. It's easy to get confused. Because how to verify it? You do not verify it like you verify the self-knowledge of the personal me through self-awareness and self-recognition. universal me, is the end of knowledge. So I hope that this talk would inspire you, will inspire you to go deeper into your me, into that most beautiful journey into me. We live in that maze, in that illusion, in that dream. There were other subjects I wanted to address, but I decided to send a collective email, letter about them. But somehow in connection to that letter, I would like to say, and this talk, I would like to point out something that is really difficult to convey, that and I understand it can be misunderstood or misconstrued or misinterpreted. And unappreciated or disregarded and whatnot. And I've been saying it recently quite a lot, but I need to say it again and again. There's only me. And as you dive into your me, deeper and deeper, that knowledge, that understanding that there is only me, will become. You will begin to own yourself, that understanding. Yes, I actually did not have time to speak about the relationship between universal me and personal me. You are discovering universal me through the personal me and through surrender into the personal me. But then when you move to the other side and you remember yourself as the universal me, then you begin to see that personal me is simply universal me existing in the human body and in the human consciousness. It's very, very obvious. Universal me exists through the personal me. Personal me is the incarnation of the universal me. You can say the avatar of the universal me. But also universal me chooses to limit itself to the personal me, to exist in that relative state of separation, or initially even forgetfulness, and it evolves within the limitations and intelligence and free will as that incarnation from that personal me. What it means is the universal me in that play of God wants to have the complete. It does not just channel itself to the human, is projecting itself to the human into the world. It actually wants to have the complete experience of being human, of being the personal me. And in order to have that and to have free will as that personal me, and in order to have that complete experience, it has to limit itself to that human identity that both you and me, we share. But what is that human identity? What it really is, you can only see if you experience it from the universal me.